Good morning. Uh, Chapter 3 of the digital writing workshop, I thought it was really, really cool. The idea of using Google Docs where kids are collaborating, I thought was absolutely fabulous. I also thought where the whole idea of kids posting things online and us posting feedback to them is another form of conferencing, another chance for us to go through and really help kids be better writers in whatever content area they are writing. If kids were writing in my geography class, I could see how if they weren't quite connecting the dots and weren't quite explaining how what they're calling evidence and they're not explaining it, writing warrants basically, this would be a great way to do that. And there's only so much time we have in class. You have to take attendance, and of course there's pretty much like a dozen other things that have to go on during that time, and I thought this would be a great chance for us as teachers to kind of get in there. On page 36, where they were talking about how students can evaluate their own progress over time by receiving or reviewing the revisions that they have made. And I thought this was great because revision really is a form of self-evaluation. In art, science, social studies, math, whatever content area they're writing in, revision helps. If kids are looking at different pieces of art, and if you're talking about who influenced what or what was going on, or if there was a theme here, kids write things down by having other kids post, other kids comment, and then going through and revising what they've written. I mean, that's just basically, it's improving their thinking. And I remember I had a teacher in college who taught like a music theory class, and she was talking about when Beethoven came out with Beethoven's Fifth, where you had the three notes in a row that were the exact same note, and then one that raised up. There was some composer who wanted to do the same thing that Beethoven did, but wanted to do it in two notes. And the name of that composer escapes me, but it's still this whole idea of collaboration and sharing and pushing thinking. But the whole idea of revision and evaluation, if we can get kids to self-evaluate, then they're going to produce better work, and that's one of the things that we're after. I don't know. And doing it this way online, I think, is going to be more fun than the traditional way of doing it. And time isn't always on our side as we're trying to get as much done as we can because we have so many different things we have as teachers. I thought this would be a great way of utilizing our time as teachers. And if you would compare things in the scope of grading and feedback. Well, grading lets them know how they did, but it doesn't really clue them into why. And grading is something that we can put in our grade book, which does help us. But nobody gets into this job because it's easy or it's convenient. And the best way that we can improve what kids are doing is by giving them feedback. And if you compare it between, grading and feedback is going to make them better, and that's what we're after. On page 37, where Troy writes about, despite the challenges, the payoff is worth it for our student writers as they gain confidence and learn new strategies. That's what we need them to do. They can't just keep doing the same thing all the time. They have to experiment. They have to try new and different things. And I think the cool part about this digital conferencing piece is that he wrote, first, digital response allows you time to pause and reflect. I know there are times when I'm reading kids' papers or what they've produced, and it's like, what were they thinking? Were they even thinking at all when they wrote this? And there are times when that first immediate reaction is not what they need. That is not what's going to help them be better at what they're doing. And I think that this can give us time to process. We may not be in the best frame of mind, so this allows us to do what we need to do. On page 38, where there's never enough time during the day to reach students in every class. Yeah. Shmear, I know you had 35 in both of your language arts class, and I know it seems almost impossible to grade all the work, let alone to get to every kid and to talk to every kid in a meaningful way. And Amy, you do a really good job of doing that. But it's just really hard to get to all those kids because there's so many different things that are going on inside our classrooms on any given day. And I think by using this digital conferencing and responding to kids digitally, I think we're getting closer to what we need to be. We're getting closer to giving all those kids the support and the feedback that they need to become better in whatever content area they're working on. On page 39, when Troy was talking, I wrote about opening up the conversation with blogs. I thought this was really cool because when kids are connecting their ideas to other ideas, that's higher up on their thinking skills, and so they're stretching their thinking. They're getting smarter academically, and this making connections similar to the "I read it but I don't get it" by Chris Giovanni. It's great, and we live in a very interconnected world, and as the internet and phones and all this other technology, as it keeps making advancements, this is our chance to utilize that technology to do better things with kids and to help them build better brains. And I'm sorry, I really, really love this chapter, so there's lots that I have on here. On page 44, Troy wrote, make the social behaviors of collaboration, for example, listening, asking open-ended questions, repeating ideas heard from others, making this process transparent. Those are 21st century standards. Those are things that all of us as teachers, regardless of content area, are expected to do. And on page 45, they're talking about having frank discussions about the nature of revision, especially some of the first draft writing will be cut or significantly changed so no one gets offended. This is a great opportunity for us to teach revision. If they're in a science class and they're drawing these conclusions and they're getting really long and really wordy and really drawn out and it's not serving any real purpose, this is a great chance for them to learn, hey, you need to be specific and you need to be brief. It's like you're getting a little too wordy here. If they're in Shane's tech ed class and they're learning about how to do something and they're writing or maybe they're recording a vlog like this, if they get a little long-winded, it's like, okay, where can you cut? You need to be right around this time limit. What is really, really important and what is you just loving yourself in front of the camera? I don't know, and I also love that there were these different websites where you had a 3rd and 4th grade class and you had a 7th grade class at a middle school, which I can't wait to check out that blog. I checked it out once before, but it was it was when I was taking classes and I don't really remember it. But like the one constant theme that seemed to be without is revision, reflection, self-reflection, where students are really going through and doing what needs to be done, and that journey, that process of self-evaluation is really difficult, but one that they have to do and one they need to engage in constantly. If not, they're always going to be looking for someone to give them the answer, and that's not going to do them any great service. And then I wrote, teachers need to be mindful about all the steps they take in creating this, about the process of revising and how it, not publishing, is the fruit. And I think kids just want to be done and kids want to be published. And I can understand the joy of wanting it to be published. I remember being really, really excited the first time I got something published, but at the same time, the act of revision, that has to be the fruit. That has to be the most important piece of what they do, because otherwise, with all this online technology, they're constantly publishing. And I understand there are different levels of publishing. There's a difference between online publishing and getting something published in like a magazine. But the revision and the act itself has to be the greatest reward. I mean, yeah, the getting published in a magazine is really, really cool, but at the same time, it has to be more focused on the writing. It's like when you play sports, yeah, it's great to win, but at the same time, the joy has to come from the act itself, not from what you win from it. So, hope all is well on this very rainy weekend, and I'll see you guys later. Bye.